We're looking at some source material you sent over, focusing on 3 English verbs that often cause a bit of confusion. Say, tell, and speak.
Yeah, they're super common, aren't they? And, they all relate to talking, but the material you shared really gets into the nitty-gritty of how they're different, which is, well, pretty crucial for using them right.
Exactly. So our mission today is to unpack those key distinctions, focusing only on what's in the notes and examples you gave us, really zeroing in on what this specific source tells us.
It's interesting, actually, how choosing between them really changes the focus. Your source does a good job highlighting that.
Okay, great. So
Yeah.
let's jump right in. The first verb your sources tackle is say.
Right, say. The main thing your material points out about say is that it's really focused on the words someone actually spoke, like when you're reporting what was said.
Okay, so it's less about who was listening and more about the actual, the content, the quote almost.
Precisely, yeah. Your source uses the example, she said hello to me. The key information there is hello. That's what was said.
And that brings up a common mistake, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Your source explicitly flags she said me hello as wrong.
That's a really important point in the material. It shows that with say, you usually don't stick the person listening right after the verb. If you do want to mention them, like the recipient,
Yeah.
you generally need that little word too, like in the correct version, she said hello to me. The source really emphasizes that the direct object, the thing receiving the action of say, is usually the words themselves, or, a clause about the words.
Okay. That makes sense. So hello is the thing being said, not me. The source is basically saying say needs to be followed by what was said. And if you add who it was said to, you need that too.
You got it. It's about attributing those words, like she said hello. Even without the direct quote marks, the structure points back to the words.
Okay, so say is word focused. How does your source then differentiate that from tell? That's the next one it covers.
Well, the distinction your source makes for tell is pretty clear cut. With tell, the focus completely flips. It's all about the person receiving the message. You have to say who was told.
Right, so if say is about the words tell is fundamentally about like the transfer, sending the info to someone specific.
Exactly that. Your source stresses that tell needs a direct object, and that object is the person or people getting the information. The classic example it provides is, he told me a secret.
He told me a secret. Right, the focus is definitely on me getting the secret there. And again, your source shows the flip side, the common error.
Yes, it shows he told a secret. And your material points out that just feels incomplete. Because the rule, according to your source, is that tell needs to answer who was told.
It really drives home that tell implies that connection. Speaker, then the message, then the specific listener. You always tell someone.
And another example your source throws in is, can you tell her the truth? Again, her is essential. She's the recipient.
Okay, this is clarifying. So say focuses on the words, maybe needing to if you mention the listener, but tell needs that listener right after it as its direct object. They handle the direction of information differently, according to this source.
Totally different flow, yeah. And that leads nicely into the third verb your material gets into, speak. How does the source set that one apart?
Well, the source notes suggest speak often comes up in more formal situations compared to just saying or telling something.
That's a key takeaway. While say and tell can be pretty casual, day-to-day verbs, your source positions speak as often being for maybe more serious or official kinds of talk.
Like the example provided, I need to speak with the manager.
Yeah, see, that feels weightier, doesn't it? Speaking with someone sounds maybe more like a planned discussion, perhaps about something specific, not just casually telling them something or saying a few words.
It does carry more weight. And the source highlights another really specific, very common use for speak too, right?
Oh, absolutely. Languages. Your material is explicit. Speak is the verb you use when you're talking about fluency or the ability to use a language.
I speak Spanish.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the standard phrase. You just know that one.
And your source cleverly contrasts it with the error, I tell Spanish, which just sounds wrong because, well, you don't tell a language.
So it seems like speak, based on these notes anyway, kind of has 2 main lanes. That formality aspect in conversation and the very specific job of talking about languages.
That's exactly what your material lays out. So yeah, we've got say for the words, tell for the listener, and speak, often signaling formality or talking about languages.
Okay, let's quickly recap those core distinctions that your source material is really emphasizing.
Right. So first, you use say when your focus is really on the words that were spoken. It's often followed by the exact words or something representing them. And if you mention who heard it, your source shows you usually need to before them. Remember, she said hello to me. The message content is key.
Then there's tell. You use tell when you're specifying who received the message. Your source makes it very clear. Tell needs a direct object, and that object is the recipient. You tell someone something, like, you told me a secret. The focus shifts to that transfer, to the person.
And finally, speak. According to your notes, you use speak in more formal contexts, or specifically when you're talking about languages. So, I need to speak with the manager, or I speak English. It suggests a different kind of interaction, or that specific language skill.
Understanding these rules, just based on this material you shared, seems super helpful for, clearer communication. It tackles those common mix-ups head-on, helps you avoid things like, she said me hello, or I tell Spanish. Your source gives a really precise roadmap here.
Absolutely. Nailing these small differences, the ones highlighted right there in your sources, it just makes your English sound more precise, more natural. It helps you make sure your meaning lands exactly right, depending on whether you want to highlight the words, the listener, or maybe the situation's formality.
So what does this really mean for you, pulling these specific points together from the source? Just think about how knowing exactly which verb fits, say, tell or speak, changes not just if the sentence is correct, but the subtle meaning, the clarity, even the feel of what you're communicating.
Yeah, and maybe here's a final thought to chew on, based purely on what this material showed us. If just picking the right verb, say tell or speak, can fundamentally shift the focus of your entire message, from the content to the recipient to the formality, well, how much more effective could your communication become overall just by really paying attention to these specific nuances that your source material brought to light?